Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching, and welcome back to you, Justin. It has been, about 10 days now since the last recording. It feels like an eternity. And might I say, I'm feeling a little bit refreshed, but a lot of things have gone our way. If you're a City fan, if you're a Olympic fan, there's been a lot of positives to take away from the last couple of days, and we are going to break it down for you all on a show that's going to cover Leagues Cup. We're going to cover, obviously, our win against Dallas. We're going to talk a little bit briefly about the All-Star game, and then we're going to talk about the Olympics and the progress this team has made as well. I'm very, very excited because one of the things that did happen, of course, right as we took this break, Justin, was Simon Betcher joining the team. Another SLU, not grad, right? Didn't graduate from SLU, but someone that was on SLU's roster, and we're just building it up, man. We should go out and sign Schulte while he's hot at the Olympics.
This has been insane. I did hop on the Midtown Madness podcast and kind of talk about this as well, because you think about it now, we have Simon Betcher, and then we also have Johnny Klein, the duo. They're called Shake and Bake when they're back at SLU together. And a little bit of background behind him, more specifically, is he's a Topeka, Kansas native, but he was over in the first division club for AC Horsens in Danish League after he was actually sent over there by the Whitecaps. He had 3 goals in 14 games, averaging about 82 minutes a game, doing relatively well over there, not overly impressive. The cool thing about SLU, he was the 16th overall pick in the 2022 Super Draft with the Whitecaps. That same year, Isaiah Parker, number 3. Then you also had Kip Keller at 5, Patrick Schulte at 12, and Simon at 16, with Johnny Klein at 30, all in from SLU during that draft class. And when he was at SLU, his 2021 season, his stats as a junior, 21 games played, starting all of them, had 14 goals and 10 assists. Him and Johnny Klein were Shake and Bake.
I love it. Isn't it so cool to have a Shake and Bake duo on the roster together? And the SLU is just a huge plus. Like, these guys have obviously played together. They've played locally here in St. Louis, and they both have regional, I'd say alliances or loyalties to the area. I think, Betcher being from Topeka, and Klein being from also out on the west side in Missouri. I believe. Columbia, yeah. So, I mean, not St. Louis through and through, but, we're going to claim them. We're absolutely going to claim them. So I love the Betcher signing, man. You gave us some of the background. It's incredible to look at how far he's come, and I'm really, really in for Simon Betcher. And we did some of this prep, Justin, before we even got to see him play, and he way outperformed my expectations on the field, and we can talk about his performance, but I want to talk briefly at least about the different profile that he brings to this team. And that is, I'm kind of comparing him, Klaus, and Teuchert for now, guys that could all play the 9, I think, in some form or fashion for St. Louis. Betcher is a little bit different, and the only thing we can go off of him, because he's played so little consistently recently with AC Horsens, and then Vancouver kind of playing a little bit of a bit piece role last year, despite having that record to his name with the fastest to 4 goals. But he is a producer. He is one that the ball falls to him in dangerous areas, and he is one to score. I think that is a big difference that we see from him. I think the closest that we look at in terms of profile is on our team. It's just something that we are sorely lacking right now. Someone that grabs that opportunity by the throat and seizes it. And we didn't see it on, night 1, but he was in the right areas. And one thing that doesn't show up in the stats that at least I look at is his work rate. That dude gave me shadows of Gioacchini last year. Just the off the ball work and the ability to put in the hard yards for teammates and the little flicks over the defensive players and the creative passes. He was really impressive against Dallas. I was blown away.
That's like Kevin Kalish mindset from SLU, Jake, with Johnny Klein too. And both of these guys, just absolute workhorses, I will say. And then Simon Betcher was the reason that we got the PK. So setting us up for that specifically. And you mentioned it. And I just want to call it out because it is extremely impressive. Fastest player in MLS history to score his first 4 goals. Did it in clocking in at 87 minutes. It was across 3 games, but I don't care. That is essentially 4 goals in 1 game. This is a guy that can be explosive. I think we got him at the right age still to where, yes, he had a little bit of experience in MLS. Then he went overseas, grew up a little bit more, going over there by yourself, coming back. And I think he's hungry. He's one of these guys that are young and hungry, looking to fight their way through for 4 minutes to score goals for a team. Being back locally in St. Louis, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we're going to get to talk about the Leagues Cup more broadly. I'm sure we'll circle back to Betcher. But Justin, I know one thing we wanted to talk about, we'd be remiss if we didn't, is the Olympics obviously going on right now. Not sure how much everyone's cashing, but we're going to focus specifically on soccer. As much as I would love to talk about Simone Biles and everything that she is achieving with the team, obviously our men's gymnastics team also getting a bronze medal for the first time in a while. So a lot of exciting stuff there. But let's talk about the boys in the red, white, and blue. Not sure how much everyone tends to know about a team that's, mostly U23. Obviously, a lot of our actual senior national team that we see in the World Cup qualifiers, World Cup, Copa America, most of those guys, or at least a lot of them, are also fitting that U23 profile, but none of those guys really made the journey. It's the U23s plus 3 overage players. We brought on Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, 2 center backs, and we also brought Jordi Mihailovic, who we know, unfortunately, from being City fans, having a hat trick scored against us from his time in Colorado here recently. But the team was drawn into a group with France, with Guinea, and with New Zealand. And we actually had the fortune of playing Guinea and France just a couple months ago or weeks ago in friendlies to kind of get a feel, which I thought is weird to do that. But the Olympics for soccer is a smaller tournament. And there's 16 teams, 4 groups of 4. So we are in that group with them. And we played France in the opener at the Velodrome in France in front of 50,000 fans. I mean, the France team, by the way, they are the home team and they are the favorites, or at least they were the favorites on the opening line to win the tournament with the gold. And might I say, yeah, we lost 3-0, but I was actually pretty proud of going toe-to-toe with them. And it wasn't like a 3-0 domination game. Like they got their goal in the 60th minute, and then they got the ones added on after that. We hit 2 posts. We were very much in this. I think we showed France that we're not going to go away quietly, and that to the rest of the group, get ready because we're going to have to come back firing away. And that is exactly what we did against New Zealand and Guinea, just putting these guys to the sword. Justin, fun fact. I know you have someone here as well, but we as a team in the entirety of the Olympics for soccer so far have generated the most XG and the best expected goal difference. So this team is finding chances. They're also defending pretty well. If they can continue this, I want to talk about our outlook for what we should be expecting this team.
I'll give you another fun fact, and we're keeping this very light, very easy. One more fun fact that I will say before I'm going to get into the Patrick Schulte of it all a little bit as well, Jake. But did you realize that the crest is not on our jerseys? It just says USA. You're not allowed to have your crest because that's what the Olympics say. But you mentioned it for the New Zealand game, a 4-1 dub, pretty easy there. Guinea, a 3-0 dub. Mihailovic had a great free kick there for anybody that didn't see it. This is the first time. So that's now we're through the group. We got second place in the group behind France. First time we've been through to the knockout stage since 2000 flat. Not like 2000 in a year on the end of it, 2000 flat in the Olympics for Sydney, Australia. And I will say, yes, we gave up 3 goals to France. That is a tough one for us, but only giving up 1 goal in the next 2 games. Big hats off to Patrick Schulte, 23-year-old from St. Charles, went to St. Louis University. He obviously is with the Columbus Crew, did an incredible job. And at SLU, where he started all 21 games, only 18 goals against at SLU. Then he was the MLS Next Pro Goalkeeper of the Year as he won the MLS Next Pro with them. Then in 2023, he led the Columbus Crew to the MLS, the Champions Cup for the Best Goalkeeper Award. And then question, Jake, you have it as here. Is it a springboard for him to possibly be the next goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team? When you look at this from a Matt Turner perspective, an Ethan Horvath, a Sean Johnson, do you think that Patrick Schulte should be the goalkeeper for the World Cup for the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm going to need to see more, I think, to be the goalkeeper. But we are at a point with this age group, in my opinion, where we've got 2 legit contenders that could be knocking on the door for Matt Turner, for Ethan Horvath. And that's with, obviously, Patrick Schulte and with Gaga Slonina as well, who's making some waves in Europe. But to focus in on Schulte, I'm loving what I'm seeing from this guy. I don't think it's been his best tournament, but just to zoom out and look at his meteoric rise, I feel like as of recently, I don't know if it's very precedented to have these draft picks, even as high as he went, go to that level of success and to do the MLS Next Pro journey, win the Best Goalkeeper of the Year there, then go to the Crew first team, win the MLS Cup, go to the Olympics, represent your country. It is a dream start for him in his professional career, and he's on a hell of a good team in the Columbus Crew. So all signs are pointing to positive. I would be shocked if he is not in contention to make the roster for 2026. And I'm not saying start, but I do think that is something that he is probably aiming for. You have the space, looking at maybe 3 to 4 goalkeepers. And I don't know if I'm convinced on our goalkeeper core right now. So it's ripe for change. And I think he has the ability to seize that if he can really seize that form and keep winning. I mean, the guy's a winner.
Value isn't everything, but on transfer marks, he's worth $3.5 million, which is exactly half of what Matt Turner's worth. So, okay, obviously he'd be behind Matt Turner as of right now, but it's more than both Horvath and Sean Johnson are worth combined of a 2.8 mil. So I would say, as we're going to kind of circle us all back in as well, you know who he had as a goalie coach? Mr. Tim Kelly. Mr. Tim Kelly's also helping out with Mr. Roman Berkey as well. And Roman Berkey was just an all-star game. But quickly, before I jump to that, Jake, you mentioned it with the Olympics, flipping it back to it. Now we're going to play Morocco in our knockout game. For anybody who doesn't remember this, if you saw our story or tweets maybe a week and a half ago, they beat Argentina 2-1 in the opening games, which if anybody doesn't remember this, it was where the offsides call, it was the most crazy goal. They called offsides, or they did not call offsides. It was a goal. VAR'd it. The guys came on the field over an hour later to play 3 minutes, and Argentina went down 2-1. Massive upset for Morocco. Then they lost to Ukraine 2-1 and then beat Iraq 3-0. You already mentioned it, Jake. We should be aiming for a medal because right now, if you look at it, we have Morocco. And then if you look at the other sides, who is it, Japan and who? That we then possibly go play against the winner of that?
Yeah, so just a reminder for everyone. So we got out of the group. We are the runners up to France. We are playing Morocco. By the way, that is on Friday, this Friday at 8 a.m. Central Time. So it's, wake up and catch a little shake and bake on the field for the U.S. men's national team, U23s, of course, as they continue their journey. But yes, they are now the quarterfinals. So there's the Blast 8. And then if they win this, they will go into the semis where regardless, they'll have a potential to medal, right? Because the loser in the semifinals still gets to go play in the bronze medal match. And I don't think that's what we should be aiming for. But as of right now, there's 2 semifinals, right? So that would feature Morocco U23 or US U23 versus Japan U23 or Spain. So we're looking at down the barrel of Japan and Spain, who have both been pretty solid through group play so far in this tournament. I don't know who I'd prefer at this point. Spain is not like the Spain, men's national team we just saw that just absolutely crushed it in the Euros, but they definitely have some big talent on the youth side. So I don't know who I'd rather prefer there, but I'm stacking us up, man. We've looked really, really good. And I really think we could shock some things. And this to me could really help the program if we are to medal in this tournament. It could do a little spin zone on all the travesty we just witnessed with Copa America and give people some hope. I mean, the casual listeners, Justin, might tune in all of a sudden if the U.S. could medal in a game in the Olympics. That would be really, really neat. And I do expect the boys to really go out there fighting for it. So I'm looking at us defeating Morocco and going to the semifinals jazzed up and ready to go because I think the boys have medals in their mind.
Absolutely. And I will say this is not something you see on like the recap on NBC at night. So if you haven't seen it, like Jake said, it'll be 8 a.m. on Friday against Morocco. We are slight underdogs, Jake. I'm looking at betting lines now because now I'm really interested. You got me all a little hyped up. We are underdogs at plus 220, Morocco at plus 130. My bet for this game, Jake, is going to be the team total for the U.S. over 1.5 at plus 175. We're scoring 2 goals, making the most XG in the entire tournament against Morocco. Yeah. Come on. Let's do it, boys.
Yeah. And we shouldn't have been shut out against France either. I think we definitely deserved a goal. But yeah, obviously we are producing a lot of chances. Let's see if we can seize them. But yeah, you know where we'll be on 8 a.m. on Friday. Actually, Justin and I will both be in Chicago doing some celebratory shenanigans for different parties. But we're definitely going to link up and go witness the Birds absolutely destroy the Cubs as well. So it's going to be a fun little weekend there. Hopefully we can start off with some green to just get the weekend started. So I'm looking forward to that. Love that Grahammer there, Justin. But for anyone casual, yeah, tune in. Obviously, all these games, they're all on NBC and all the networks underneath there with Peacock and everything. So check that game out at 8 a.m. on Friday to watch the red, white, and blue put a foot right this summer after getting off to a bad start here in the Copa America. So that's the Olympic update we have for you all. Very, very exciting stuff. I'm glad to be here. And briefly, Justin, before we talk about Leagues Cup, let's just gloss a little bit over the All-Star game because the MLS got destroyed in both the skills competition and the actual game itself, losing 4-1 to Liga MX. The game looked really back and forth. I actually didn't catch it live, but I watched some of the highlights and a little bit of a recap there. And the scoreline looked worse than I actually felt it was. But Man, dude, Berkey, he got the start for the MLS All-Stars, which, by the way, two things. One, that's so cool for him. I mean, having the season where the stats aren't really saying a whole lot for his profile, but still having the respect from the league and the commissioner and the players to be in this team and starting against Liga MX, that says something. That says we don't care what the stats are. You are the best goalkeeper in this league and you deserve to start. And I don't think it paid off for him. He got a couple goals scored against him. And a lot of that, I mean, again, there's one thing always with Berkey this season right now. It's that he's still at his top level, but he cannot catch a break on some of these goals and defending that's in front of him, despite them being all-star defenders. But either way, good to see him up top there and leading that team, dapping up some of the celebrities that were there too. I mean, it's just always good to see a guy in our city red representing the team.
He was also the goalkeeper in the skills challenge where they did the side volley. So like he was literally just, they let these guys tee up from basically chipping the ball from the short corner where the 18 is to where the PK spot is. And Roman Berkey's just having to try to save these one-timers and these bikes. And he actually did relatively well there as well. So I really do think that is a great shout out for Roman Berkey. Like you said, tough season, but awesome to get the all-star call up. One more quick plug for City before we get in the Leagues Cup too, Jake. James Horn, or Giannis Horn, I guess is how.
Yeah.
Giannis Horn. He's a 27-year-old center back, technically by trade over in Germany, that we have apparently signed to a loan coming over to possibly a sign and trade, loan and then buy on this aspect of him. So more to come on him. I think we're going to be playing him more as as a left back than a center back role. Obviously, we've had some rotation in the left back. I think I like Jay Reed a lot. I think we're looking for more of a mainstay out of this guy. And Jay Reed can also be a guy that obviously we can see and can get up the field and can take guys on. So I don't think it's a knock to Jay. I think it's more of a long-term look. And it's just more to come out of him. But it is a guy that's kind of been a Bundesliga journeyman. He's been around over there for a while.
Yeah. So I think the position makes sense because I think we are in need of center back depth and we are in need of left back depth. It's weird to see a journalist who's breaking this news having the insight on where the team wants to play him. I'm like, who's your source, man? I mean, is it Lutz? So, but we were told that as well by Manuel Veth, who, was the first one to break the breakthrough in the potential loan signing with an option to buy. So we don't have it's not formalized. It's not confirmed yet as of the time of recording. I bet it would be a year-long loan. And it would be seeing him arrive here now and then playing for us for the next year, basically like we have for Betcher, whose loan goes through June. But with Betcher, I believe, is also an option to buy. I don't believe it's an obligation. And then with Horn, it's also an option to buy. So it gives the team some flexibility with also some much needed help in a position of need. So the one thing I want to call it on Horn, like we said, he's left-sided. It's great. He's left-footed. That is like a left-handed pitcher in the MLB. It's good to have guys that play that position naturally with a strong foot on their left side. What I want to point out with him is he's not your brute like a Nilsson is, or like we see shades of Parker. What Horn is most known for is he's big and he can win balls for sure. But I see the most actually in his stats compared to other center backs in his league, which is the Bundesliga 2. Last year, the last 365 days, he ranks the highest and makes most of his impact on the possession side. So when I'm saying that, passes completed, progressive carries. He's a center back that can bring the ball up with him. Doesn't need to spray it out wide. He can also beat defenders, give a little hip turn and a little fade, a drop of the shoulder, and move the ball that way. So that's a profile. Besides, again, I say shades of Tim Parker. Sometimes Tim has that in his locker, and sometimes you see some limitations. This is a guy that I think does have that. And so we're going to do a little rent before we buy situation. See if it works out. See if it's profile we want. He's 27 in his athletic prime. I think it makes a lot of sense. The only concern I have, Justin, is he is coming off of the best availability in his career, where he has played 2,000 minutes this last season. Now, that has never happened before in his career. We know how long the MLS season is. The most he's ever logged before that is 1,700, and that's the most he logged before maybe a 1,400. So, again, I think we need to start looking at these signings as not necessarily just into the first team, you're our guy moving forward, but you're signing for a well-rounded team, one where there's competition in the side and there's rotation that's healthy, not a rotation where it's someone like, oh God, we're going to hand it to this guy and we have no trust in him. I think we're building a team that's rounded and balanced, and we can make sure that we, slot in and slot out as necessary without dropping in quality.
Completely agree. And I think that's what you're talking about, where I think Jay Reed can rotate in there healthily is a word. You said meteoric earlier, and I took that as like kind of average, but I think you meant like meteor. So yeah, we're all over the words today. But I think this is a perfect time for these guys. And obviously we don't know when he's coming in, but Leagues Cup, as we're going to kind of drift into that. When we talk about that with Hartel and Toyer and Simon Betcher, this is the time to really kind of experiment with these things. I do think that we're going to take it very seriously because we're pretty much out of the playoffs. If not mathematically already, we will be soon. But a reminder on Leagues Cup and what we're doing here. So 47 teams will compete in this, 18 from Liga MX, 29 from the MLS. 45 of them are divided into 15 groups of 3 for the group stage. And then obviously the respective winners so the remaining 2 teams that are not in the groups are Columbus Crew and Club America. They won the leagues last year, so they are put into already through out of the group stage. The top 3 finishers of this will also qualify for the 2025 CONCACAF Champions Cup. There are no ties in the group stage. If the teams are tied at full 90, each team will receive a point, but they have a penalty shootout to see who the winner gets an additional point. Any regulation win is 3 points already. So more specifically, we've had our first game already. Obviously, we're having a little bit of a boycott. So I think there's a little over 17,000 people there on Saturday night for FC Dallas. But it was an exciting game to watch on TV.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you saw the 11. I said it in on X. I mean, that's one of the most exciting 11s I've ever seen this team put forward, probably outside of our first ever 11 in Austin. But to have Toyer, Betcher, and Hartel be a part of the front 4 with Torreson as well, I mean, funny. But it was great. I mean, none of those guys are 90 minutes fit. I mean, Torreson is, but none of those guys are at full, I'd say, speed yet in terms of game ready, 90 minutes or even just on the pace entirely. But to see Hackworth give him a go and show out in front of, as many fans that could gather at City Park, it was cool. And I think you're also starting to see a little bit difference in our style of play. I think we are starting to kind of press a little bit more in the middle of the pitch, not as just tenaciously all over the pitch. And we're also starting to possess the ball a little bit more, which I like, because now you have guys that can in Hartel and Toyer and Betcher as well, who I've been seeing, he can also get in behind and he loves to do that. But as part of his profile, he can also drop in and hold the ball up and link up with teammates. And I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that. The one thing I didn't love was just because of the new guys and the new faces and maybe some of the new things they're doing on the field, we had zero width. There was no crosses coming in. There was no one had paint on their boots from having and hugging the touchline. So maybe that'll come, maybe it won't. I do think there needs to be probably a truer winger that fits into this team, like an Alm or like a Celia when healthy. But I liked what I saw. All those guys gave me some hope and some optimism for what they bring. Hartel kind of cutting in from the left side. Toyer obviously finishing the one chance or getting it on a couple chance that wasn't that easy. Thorson with the assist there. But all good signs, man. I mean, Dallas wasn't going to go away easy. We got the business done. We won 5 games this year, maybe now 6 with that. So, I mean, you got to celebrate the wins when they come because they're few and far. But Betcher, my word, that kid, I mean, for being the lone compared to the other two, Hartel and Toyer, just put in a shift. And he played the most minutes of all those guys. And I was really, really impressed with him. And I feel like he kind of is almost embodying this team already, having only been with them for a couple weeks. So moving forward on the City side of things, obviously we've got Juarez on the horizon. But before we get to Juarez, we've got Dallas playing Juarez tonight. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Apple. I think Dallas is hosting them. That should be a good little teaser for what we're about to get into with this next matchup. But looking on the horizon again, we have Juarez, who I think is going to be would be our easiest group match in the tournament. But Justin, how do you look ahead to Juarez, watching tonight's game, kind of getting a feel for them? And ultimately, let's kind of pivot into like what we want to do as a group to, be winner or runner up, and then what the outlook is from there.
Yeah, so Juarez not that hot this year or in their season right now. The Liga MX is broken up into 2. So they're 0 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. So 15th out of 20 teams right now in the Apertura. Yes, that's a small sample size. If you look back in the half season before, they were 4 wins, 9 losses, 4 draws. and Klaus Yura. I would say the one guy that you really just need to look out for, number 33, Aitor Garcia. He's a 30-year-old right winger from Spain, worth $1.8 million on transfer mark. He has 1 goal in 4 games already in the season this year, had 4 goals and assists on 17 games played last year, starting 16 of those. That's the guy that you need to look for. You already mentioned it, Jake. I would like to see us get a little bit more width. I do think that our playing style is changing, though, when you think about we're not playing with a big Sam up top. We're not playing with a big Klaus up top. We've already kind of seen the playing style change whenever Thor's up top as well. You're going to see these wingers get inside a little bit more because they're not looking to beat someone down the line and cross it into the air. It's going to be more of a cutback cross, which then needs to be a cross closer to the goal, not all the way to the width. All that to say, though, I would like to see these guys get wider to give Toyhurt and Hartel a little bit more space in the middle. Get Betcher wide. Get Johnny Klein wide. Get Thor wide. And let's just open up the middle to allow those up back throughs a little bit more space. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of that. But I'll pull up the graphic, Jake. But what are we looking for? Obviously, you're always looking to win the group. But what does that mean for us going into if we win it versus if we get second?
Yeah, so let's talk logistics here. So regardless of winning or being runner-up in the group, I mean, there's 3 teams in the group. We have to get out, right? I mean, so I guess it'll depend tonight. If Dallas loses, I don't think. I mean, they'll be facing a serious uphill battle to get out of the group. So we would almost kind of guarantee or punch our ticket if Dallas loses tonight. Not banking on that. I want us to win this group. If we win this group or runner up this group, we play someone from the group 5 on the West. So that features Club Leon, that features Portland, and that features Colorado. None of whom, especially, I don't really know much about Leon, but Portland or Colorado, I don't think you're really feasting your eyes on one to see that matchup happen. But I think you do want to obviously win the group, if possible, play the second team from there. And in doing so, you're also going to avoid Club America, who is in our part of the bracket, until at least the semifinals, if we make it there. So sorry, the quarterfinals, if we make it there. So that would be a big plus to win the group and not have to play the team who just mopped the floor with us at home last year at City Park, which was not fun to witness. I mean, it was like apples and oranges, very, very different teams. So that's, I think, the outlook for me is you got to win the group. You want to play the second place from Group 5, which is Portland, Colorado, and Club Leon. And then you could feature teams after that, like Sporting, like Chicago, and even looking on the Group 8 side, like Houston, Real, or Atlas as well. So there's a lot of options here. But again, I think you just got to put pedal to the metal, focus on winning the group, and give yourself the best and easiest path towards the semifinals.
Can we just focus on winning games? I think this is a very winnable game at home versus FC Juarez. There's not money line or betting lines out yet because obviously they're playing tonight against FC Dallas, and the books don't drop those till they've already had their game in case of injury, suspension, things like that. But very, very winnable game at home. It's going to be a late one, though, Sunday night at 8 p.m. at City Park. Again, if you guys have not bought tickets yet or haven't had a chance to go to City Park, just go for the experience itself. Talked about it with Matt Seebeck as well. It's a great place to be. They're doing more exciting things. You saw the players got to walk through the front and people got autographs, got to touch hands with everybody. This is what the kind of Leagues Cup is a little bit more about, a little bit more free flowing, not as structured as MLS regular season games. So if you haven't had a chance, get to City Park on Sunday night. If you can't get into City Park, get to the pitch. Go there for the weekend. You got the Olympics on. It doesn't even have to be soccer. The Olympics are on at like 2 a.m. You could go there whenever they open at the crack of dawn on Saturday morning and just watch Olympics all day, all the way into City Park.
Amen. I love that. And starting for us that night, I'm sure we'll go back to the same line. And that brings me back to the Hoffman Bros starting 11. We're absolutely going to roll with the new signings and I'd say probably the same front 4, rolling with them. And you know who I roll with on these hot summer days when we are in a heat advisory for 4 days? It's the guys and the team from Hoffman Brothers, the best home services partner for anyone here in St. Louis and those in Nashville as well, if we have any Nashvillians listening to the show. But Hoffman Brothers can do anything under the roof. We're talking heating, cooling, all your appliance services, both commercial and residential. So it's for your business and for your home front. So if you have any needs at all this summer, I know it's piping hot out there right now. Make sure you get these guys in your corner, and you can reach them at 314-664-3011 or visit them online at hoffmanbros.com. And Justin, last plug, we're heading to Chicago. I'm sure it'll be pretty hot there too. And we're both going to probably be not treating our bodies very fairly. So I'd say the doctor has ordered a prescription of some pre-dosing on some soul juice. It's just working wonders for us at this point.
Absolutely needed. You can buy Soul Juice at souljuice.com using code BALLWATCHING for 20% off, or you can go to Schnucks, Deerberg, Straub's, Sam's, Mobile on the Runs. Go get it. I'm also playing in a soccer tournament back on Sunday in St. Louis at Soccer Park for anybody that wants to come out. It's for charity in St. Louis underneath the Scores Cup, and doing it for my company. But Luis is supplying us with some Soul Juice there as well, so I'll be handing it out at the park on Sunday.
Final thing, Justin, a plug for... I said one last plug, and I'm now making another plug. But if you're listening to the show, obviously we've missed you all. Make sure to show us some love, a like or a subscribe on YouTube, or a comment or whatever. Shoot us anything you guys want. Hopefully you haven't missing us too much. But Justin, last thing before we exit here, Leagues Cup, what's success for you? Give me your final stage for where we should end up in your mind. What would make you happy as a fan?
I would say at a minimum, one, getting out of the group, which seems like an absolute right now. I'd say winning the group and then winning at least one more group stage game. In my opinion, that would make me content. I would like to win two knockout games outside of the group stage.
Okay, so you're saying win in the round of 32 and a win in the round of 16 and probably struggle in the quarterfinals or just meet in the quarterfinals. Okay.
I'd be okay with that. At least getting a couple wins underneath of our belt. The regular season's already done, so let's just go full tilt with these new guys and see what we can do against these teams.
Yep. I like that. I think mine is, I agree. I think you've got to win at least one knockout game. Would love to see two. And then I think you've got to, then my two-prong for that goal is you got to carry this into the rest of the season and just really pull some things together and start almost a preseason of sorts in this rest of the season and just really bring this new version to life now versus in the beginning of next season, so we can hit the ground running in the beginning of the 2025 campaign. So I like the goal. I think it's realistic as well. Team looks good. Team looks re-energized. You love to see it. And I'm re-energized. I know you're re-energized. It's been a good little break here, and we'll be back again for a show next week to break down what happens against FC Juarez and the outlook moving on from there. So thank you all for listening to the show. Been a little bit different one today, but everyone have a great rest of your week. Stay cool, St. Louis. It is hot out there, and we will talk to you all soon. All for City.